Hi, thank you so much for joining me today, and in today's process video I want to create a layout with two 3x4 photos and a vertical element down the middle of the page. So I start off with my mixed media using the packaging technique. I'm using bundled sage and antique linen to create a strip down the centre of the page, and then ordinarily I would have used my sewing machine, but I decided to use the washi tape from 49 and Market to create a stitched element down the centre. So I just did that green and then waited for it to dry, and now I'm going in with the antique linen, and I start by thinking I'll just do a few splatters, but they're not coming out big enough for me, and I decided just to add a bit of packaging technique again over that, and here I am just doing that. And I'm going to be using 49 and Market papers today, and well, embellishments really. I don't think I use any of the papers. And I've targeted the yellows and greens from this collection because those are the colours in my photos. So I'm using this is one of my favourite tapes from this 49 and Market washi tape, stitch washi tape. It's the single stitch it's got some zigzag stitch and straight stitch, and I've used the pale green colour rather than the black. So I've gone through all of the ephemera in the various packs, the laser cuts and the die cut ephemera and the chipboard, and pulled out all the yellows and greens, and I'm just going to have a play around and work out which pieces I want to use. Now at the beginning I realised that I was putting all the greens at the tops and all the yellows at the bottom so once I saw that I was doing that, I started to move around. The flare badges I'm using are from a new pack that we've designed to go with the new upcoming Doodlebug Seaside collection, but they're Doodlebug colours. Doodlebug seem to use the same colours, and in fact these colours work perfectly with this 49 and Market as well, so I just pulled two of them out that I thought would go nicely with this. So as I say, just having a play around with all the ephemera before I'll stick my photos down. So I like these two titles. This is just a day that my friend and I went up to Warrington. They had a makers market outside Warrington Market. So I met her on the suspension bridge, which is just around the corner from our house. And then we walked up and had a really lovely day, ending in cocktails, which was very nice. So I love this picture of Claire with her yellow jumper and the greens in the cocktails that we had. So I tried that tag, but I felt it was too big of an element because I wanted to keep that vertical stripe down the middle really. So again, just fussing and messing about with bits and pieces. But pretty soon I decided that I need to start sticking things down, because every time I try and put one thing there, everything else moves. So I like this half frame that I had, but the gap wasn't quite big enough there, but it looks nice up the top here. So, and again, just checking the colours. I do like groups of three. I know that there's a design thing that says groups of three, but it's just what my eye likes as well, and that's probably why it works. So like I said, it's at this point that I realise that I need to start gluing things down. So I start with this cluster at the very top because I know that that's going to go there. And then once those are down, I'll stick the photos together before adhering those to the layout. And I'm using these lovely 25mm foam pads that we've got in the shop. They're absolutely brilliant for sticking photos down to your layout. They're 2mm deep, and they come in a roll of, it's either 1500 or 1600 pads, so enough to last a lifetime really. And I want to overlap the photos. Yeah, I tried sticking this onto the photo, but that doesn't really work because the photo's on foam pads, so I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. And then I realised that the foam pad underneath the top photo there was in the way because there was another one on the other photo of Claire, so just removing that, and then I decided to glue them down together. And you'll see I've overlapped them quite a bit more than I did originally when I layout down, which is fine until I go to glue the photos down. I wanted my elements all to be central on the page and running right down that central vertical strip that I've created with the mixed media and the washi tape. But when I put the photos down, I don't align them correctly, so they're aligned slightly to the left. So there's a bigger gap on the right hand side of the page. I don't see this until right at the end, and you'll see how I fix that because it really does bother me. So I should have moved the whole photo cluster over to the right by about 1 centimetre, and then it would have been fine. But I do deal with that. And this is the thing with scrapbooking, there's always a way. And I'm hoping that my videos will show you that even when things don't go quite how we want them to, there's always a way of sorting it out. So I'm just going to go around now and stick everything down that I've got so far, the bits that I knew where I wanted them to go. And then when I pick up this tab at the top, I realise that I'm not quite happy with the green. So at first I go in with one of the Hey Little Magpie free printables, the labels printables, and see if layering that will work. And I try it on the left hand side of the photo, but of course I want to keep the line more vertical. So I start looking through and I find a yellow one, and I'm much happier with that. So just switch that over. So even when you've laid things down, sometimes giving your brain a bit of time to think and look at exactly what's going on with the whole page, you see things that you just want to change that little bit. So I'll carry on gluing everything down, just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I do like this glue, and this tube's very nearly empty, but I keep it stored upside down, so every time I come to do a layout it lasts for so long, and then I have to go back to the new tube because I don't bother storing it upside down in between. Just throwing it on the desk each time I get lost in the moment, trying to stick everything down. So you'll see me shaking it, trying to get everything down to the nozzle. I don't like to waste it, and if I can use what I've got, then I will do. And now I'm just having a look around at what else I can add, because it still feels very bare. And I love these laser cut pieces of lace. They really do look like lace. So I picked the yellow piece to go on the bottom photo, just torn off a little strip, and then going in with the green to embellish the top. And at first I go on the top, but I'm going to play around where it's going to go, and then decide putting it on that left hand side of that top photo because it mirrors the bottom right one. Just trying to keep the balance all the time when I'm adding these bits and pieces. And then I'm going to go in with some nests of thread. I've got a yellow variegated cotton thread and a green variegated cotton thread. So just trying to make it nice and messy. This one I wound around my fingers and it wasn't giving the bird's nest effect that I wanted, so just teasing it and folding it to get it right. And then once I'm happy with what it looks like, just adding a strip of glue and sticking it down. And I love the effect that that gives, especially when you're doing these mixed media, more rustic looking layouts rather than a clean line one. Again, you see how it's created almost like a circle. I didn't want that, I wanted it to be more like a nest. So you just keep playing and teasing, and eventually it comes into a nice ball. And I want more at the bottom. And there, I think I've got the technique right. Just screwing it all up in my hands. So green at the top, green at the bottom, and then a yellow in the middle. And I really love how that sort of brings everything together. So I want to add the date on my tab, which is what I generally do. So I'll grab the bundled sage to add the date to this. and then decide to go in with some foam tape just to add a bit of dimension. And at this point you can see almost all that mixed media that I did at the beginning has been covered up again. I do that every time. But it was fun playing, and you never quite know, and bits are still poking out, so just having a play with another one of these Doodlebug brads, well not Doodlebug flare that we've created. They're Hey Little Magpie flare, but I decided I don't really want two of the same design. So then having a look through what else I've got in the ephemera, and this is a chipboard piece from the chipboard pack from 49er Market, and it just says The Good Life, because this is just a page documenting my everyday rather than a special occasion. So I didn't want it to be too soppy or anything, so I'm just carefully choosing elements that don't say the best day, because it wasn't the best day. It was a lovely day, but I wouldn't say it was the best day. So layering that up again with one of the Hey Little Magpie free printable labels, and then adding my journaling to the bottom. I was very brave here. I didn't draw any guidelines, and you'll see it's a bit slopey. Being a left-hander, I struggle to write in a straight line, but it's fine. That didn't bother me as much as the layout not being centralised. And then I want to come in with something else. So we've got a new product at Hey Little Magpie, and it's these title and word and phrase ephemera pieces. This is the script set. We've also got a block set, and just trying the different words. I quite like the word smile, but it wasn't close enough to the photo of Claire for my liking, so just trying it in different places on the layout to see where they can go. I'm looking for a few different words. There are 18 in a pack, so there's plenty to choose from, but I wasn't quite sure, so you'll see in a minute I put those to one side for a bit while I fiddle about and add a few more other pieces. So just looking through, seeing what else I might be able to use. And these printed on 160 gram cardstock, so they're not too heavy, so they're great for just adding a tiny bit of embellishment. Heavy enough that they're not going to warp, but not so heavy that they look heavy on your layout, or if you add them to a photo or something. So just having a play around, but not quite sure at this point, so I'll move them to one side. And then just gone through my drawer of stash and found these little yellow enamel pieces, so just want to add one of those. I'm just trying to slowly work through some older stuff that I've got. So playing about, deciding what else we could add. And in the end it settles there. So you can barely see it, but it's just another layer of something. And then I'm going through these Disney stickers that I've had a long time from Simple Stories. I think it was the very first Disney range that they did. Just to see if any of the yellows or other stickers will go. And I find a little circle just saying hello, I think it says. Yes, it says hello. And that settles just up the top there in that little cluster of circles. And then just flipping through to see if there's anything else that can be added. And I do try one of the mustard pieces, but the yellow's just a little bit too dark for my liking, because everything else on this is so pale. So I think it's one of, yeah. Oh, I like this grey arrow, so that makes the cut. But yes, this yellow star, I try it, but I realise very quickly that it's just too dark. Just one more look, see if there's anything else. And then I'll come in with some enamel dots. I do love these. And again, I just pulled out any yellow that I had. I don't think I could find any green in my drawer. So having a look and trying to decide what else I need to do, and then coming back in with these titles. And I decide that this is the one I really like, just captured. It's an all-encompassing word really, isn't it? So that goes on the top. going to come in with my Nuvo dots. It's been a while since I've used these, but I do love them. So just adding some dots here and there around the page. I start off with this, I think it's called Dandelion Yellow. I'll put it down in the description box, and then I'll come in with apple green afterwards, which is just such a good match with these colours that we've got from Spectrum Sherbet. So there's the apple green. I'm just adding a few here and there. And at that point I think I'm finished, and I leave it for an hour or two, but it's really annoying me that the layout isn't centralised in the middle. So have a little think and grab a paper which I can use at the back. So I'm cutting just over 2 centimetres off this side so that it is central, and you'll see there it's much better once I lay it down. And then I'm just going to stitch down either side onto this piece of paper, cut off the branding strip first of all, and then I'll use my sewing machine to stitch the original layout onto it. And I just like that little edging that you get on either side, again in that lovely yellow. So here's the sewing machine, and I'll just stitch down either side. And then to reduce bulk, I'm just going to cut off the excess card from the back, and it's a bit of a faff. That needs some bigger scissors really, but I carry on hacking and I get there in the end. So I'll have that paper to use for matting photos or adding some layering bits. I do love the reverse of this paper, but those strips down here either side were just perfect for framing this one and sorting out the problem that I had with centralisation. And then I'm just going to tear off the edges to create a bit more texture and definition. I think this goes nicely with the rest of the layout. So just tearing, making sure that I don't go over the stitch line. Although I could just add some glue, it doesn't really matter because there's plenty of paper underneath to be able to do that. So just going down both sides. It takes a bit of a while and I go in from both ends, but I'm really happy with the finished result. So that's it, how I fixed my failed layout. Well, it wasn't failed, I am very happy with the overall layout, but I was just frustrated for a while with the non-centralisation. So I'll leave you with some close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!